Good afternoon, everybody. This is a meeting of the Council held in public. It is not a public meeting. There is no fire drill planned, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave by the nearest exit, the large screen at the front of the room, and proceed down the fire exit to the courtyard. Once it is safe to return, councillors will receive a text message. Officers will also advise when it is safe to return to the meeting. We are recording the meeting using our webcasting system. The webcast will be transmitted live and will also be available on the Council's website following the meeting. All mobile devices should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones. So, agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Emma, are there any apologies for absence? Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. At this point, normally we ask if there's a confirmation that the minutes are an accurate record of the previous meeting, although I think none of us were at that meeting, so I propose that perhaps defer that item until a member that was at that meeting is in attendance, so we can make that confirmation. So, yeah. So take that as those meetings are deferred. Yeah. Agenda item 4, Licensing Act 2003 Subcommittee Hearing Procedure. Emma, could you run through the procedure for the hearing, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Step 1, opening of the hearings. The Chairman will will open the hearing and ask all parties to introduce themselves. Step 2 will be the licensing officer. The licensing officer will present their report as set out in the agenda. Step 3, the applicant or their representatives will present their case in support of their application. Step 4, the Chairman will invite the relevant responsible authorities in attendance, if any, to highlight their reasons for objecting to the application. Step 5, other persons. So the Chairman will invite any other persons in attendance to present their case, highlighting their reasons for objecting or supporting the application as contained in their written submissions. Step 6, we'll go to the discussion. The Chairman will structure and lead a discussion on the information presented, enabling the subcommittee members to clarify any points raised and ask questions if necessary. Step 7, summing up, the Chairman will ask responsible authorities, other persons, applicants and the licensing officer if they have any final comments to make. And these comments can only be in relation to issues raised during the discussion. Neither party can provide new evidence at this point. Step 5, final clarification. Licensing subcommittee members will have a final opportunity to seek clarification on any points raised, following which the Chairman will conclude the discussion. Step 9, the subcommittee will normally withdraw to consider the evidence that has been presented to them with the governance officer and legal advisor in order that the subcommittee can reach a decision and obtain legal advice if required. And then step 10, the Chairman will invite all parties back into the hearing to announce the subcommittee decision, including the reasons for their decision, and then the Chairman will advise the applicant of their right to appeal as detailed on the decision notice. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Emma. I think at this point we will do the introductions. So I'll start with myself, Councillor Andrew Ansell, Chairman of the Licensing Committee, obviously Chairman of the meeting today. And if I start to the councillors to my right, start with you. Yeah.
Councillor Valerie Robbins, I'm Vice Chair of Licensing.
Councillor David Aldridge, as a member of the committee.
Thank you. And yourself, Karen and Emma.
Good morning, I'm Karen Lalott and I'm the legal advisor and I'm from Burkitt Solicitors.
Thank you. Emma Perry, Senior Governance Officer.
Thank you.
I'm Alexandra Mascus, I'm the Senior Licensing Officer.
I'm Roy Robinson, I'm the Licensing Officer.
To the applicant.
Roberts, Regional Operations Manager.
Robert Buckeye, Solicitor, representing the applicant today.
Tom Copeling, General Manager for Lounges.
And Sarah Manager, Operations Manager for Lounges.
Wonderful. I think we'll move to the next step. So hand over to yourself, Roy, for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Premises licence at 50 to 52 High Street, Billericay. On May the 9th, 2024, the Licensing Authority received an application for a premises licence from Winkwood Sherwood Solicitors on behalf of Loungers UK Limited. The application and premises plan included enclosure 2 and has been accepted as being properly made. The application has been advertised in accordance with the relevant regulations. An area plan is attached as enclosure 3. The application requests the licensable activity of the sale of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises and late night refreshment. The requested hours for licensable activity are as follows: the sale of alcohol Monday to Sunday 1000 hours till midnight, late night refreshment Monday to Sunday 2300 hours to 0030 hours, opening hours Monday to Sunday 0800 hours to 0030 hours. There is a caveat to the outdoor area for following a application for a tables and chairs permit outside the premises. This has been limited to 10 p.m. So after 10 p.m. there will be no activity in the outside area. The premises will also remain open for the sale of alcohol and the provision of late night refreshment from the terminal hour for those activities New Year's Eve through to the commencement time for activities on New Year's Day. The premises licence, if granted, will contain the relevant and mandatory conditions as required by the legislation and those conditions offered in the applicant's operating schedule, and they're at enclosure 4. During the statutory 28-day consultation period, the Licensing Authority received no representations from responsible authorities and 3 representations from interested parties. A copy of the representations are attached to enclosure number 5. Chairman and members, the recommendation is that the subcommittee consider this report together with any oral submissions given at the hearing from the applicant and others making relevant representations before determining the application for the grant of a premises licence. The following steps are available to the subcommittee: to grant the licence subject to the conditions as proposed, modified to such an extent as the authority considers necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives, and any conditions which must, under sections 19, 20 and 21 of the Licensing Act, be included, or to grant the licence but exclude any of the licence or activities sought, or to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor, or to reject the application. That's the end of the report, Chairman.
Thank you for that, Roy. So next I will ask all parties for any questions and points of clarification, starting with the 2 councillors to my right. Any questions or points of clarification?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Then moving on to the applicant. Moving on to step 3, the applicant's case. Let's say, please proceed.
Thank you and good afternoon. I did write yesterday asking for permission not to wear a tie. I didn't get a reply, but I hope it's not been presumptuous of me. Very, very warm outside, but thank you. We're very excited to open, hopefully, on the High Street in Billericay. I think you're probably familiar with the lounge operation because you've got one around the corner where we've just been, Orletto Lounge. And I've also sent some information in advance, which hopefully you've had an opportunity to look at. So we're very much a food-led family diner. Busiest times tend to be brunch, lunch, afternoons, tails off in the evening. So we're not a late night venue. One of the issues we have, I guess, is that we put blue notices up stating what our application is going to be. The regulations tell us what we can actually say on the blue notice, and people understandably think we're going to be a late night bar with lots of people tipping out at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's not how a lounge operates at all. A little bit about the company. We've got over 225 lounge cafe diners. The trick, if you like, is that they all seem to be individual. They're all individuals in that they are named. The name is relevant to the locality. They'll always have the word lounge in, and the name has got to end in O and has got to be Spanish or Italian. Spanish or Italian. The naming committee has come up with for here it's going to be Maggio Lounge, Maggio. Maggio is Latin for May, and Billericay has links to the Mayflower. So there we go. That's the naming committee. Our capacity will be 160 inside, with 16 covers outside. Thanks, Roy, for the information on the pavement licence. There's no vertical drinking in a lounges, so it's laid out effectively as a restaurant, and you order your food and drink from an app or through waiter or waitress, and it's brought to your table. There is generally a very small bar, like a bar area with high tables and chairs, so you can order a drink without food, but we don't encourage that, and few people use it as a drinking venue. It's very much about the food. The alcohol hours that we seek are more of an umbrella hours. So the alcohol is, we're asking for 10 o'clock in the morning until midnight, 7 days a week. That doesn't mean that we will be selling alcohol till midnight every day of the week with people tipping out afterwards. Generally speaking, we're more likely to be 11 p.m. during the week with midnight Friday and Saturday, but we do ask that the umbrella hours be allowed, and the late night refreshment we're unlikely to need. It's just that if there is coffee served or something, towards the end of the evening, we don't get caught out. So again, nothing sinister there. Same with the opening hours. There's no regulated entertainment. It's background music only, so we shouldn't be disturbing our neighbours with noise. We did say in the application that tables and chairs are to be made unusable by 11 p.m. Happy for that to be changed to 10 p.m. so that that's consistent with the pavement licence. The reason we're here today is that we've got 3 resident representations. If there were no representations, then there would be no hearing. And I'm pleased to say that there are no representations from any of your responsible authorities, so the police, noise nuisance, environmental health, etc. So the residents are concerned that one of them said that they've had noise from the Checkers pub, and this will be even closer to where they live. We're not a pub. It's a very different establishment. We don't see our customers all leaving at the same time. There's no bell that goes and everybody comes out. So we wouldn't have thought there's any parallel to the Checkers pub. One of the residents concerned that people will be leaving the venue at 1:15 a.m. and will be intoxicated. Well, first of all, our customers generally don't leave intoxicated. Secondly, they're most unlikely to be leaving at 1:15 a.m. I often give an example, my own personal experience of a Casio lounge, which is in Watford, on the high street. There's a Wetherspoons, there's an O'Neill's. It's in what you would call the drinking circuit, and I went for dinner 8 o'clock in the evening. It was busy in Casio Lounge. At 10 to 10, I think we were just about the only people left in the lounge. But of course, Saturday night in Watford was still busy. So that's the way we operate. And one of the residents is unhappy that there were no consultation letters. That we followed the procedure of the Licensing Act, which is to advertise in a local newspaper. We've put the notices up on the premises for 28 days. There's no requirement for us to send consultation letters out to local communities. So we are within your licensing policy. I would hope that this is the type of operation that you would welcome to Billericay, because it's diverse. It's not alcohol led, and it gives a really good range of food, both vegan, vegetarian, gluten free. Yeah, it's all there. Really that's about it. We have operations managers, operations directors. We've got the manager, Tom, who's joined us today as well, so we can answer any questions that you've got. It's always difficult when people who've objected don't turn up, because we would generally have had a conversation with them outside, reassured them, past telephone numbers, etc. That's normally how these hearings go. But that's really all we've got to say, but very happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, I say any points of clarification, any questions for the applicant? Councillor Robbins, Councillor Aldridge.
Yeah, you've actually answered it, but you've actually answered the question. But my concern was the noise late at night, vis-a-vis families and school nights. So, providing you're aware of that, I wouldn't place any objection on your opening and closing times. But I'm just concerned about the noise and the residents, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robbins. Councillor.
Yeah. I'm just querying, I just wonder why you would want to have the extended hours onto the licence if the bulk of almost all of your sort of clients will be leaving by 11ish or so anyway. Okay, admittedly, staying behind to finish the coffees and teas, soft drinks and stuff, etc. But why have the alcohol licence running through?
It's really to allow for a bit of flexibility. There could be days that during the week where we wish to open to midnight. What I'm saying is that the normal operation during the week, we'd expect it to be 11 p.m. But we would like that flexibility to go to midnight if there is the demand for us to do so.
Okay.
There are lots of licences that are for greater hours than are actually used.
Yeah,
there are lots of 24 hours. Yeah.
I'll take advice onto that one as a newbie to the committee. Another question I got is about the New Year's Eve extended opening.
Very happy for that to come back. I haven't taken instructions. Yeah, we do include as part of the application New Year's Eve to run through to the next day. If you're more comfortable, we can say 2 a.m. For New Year's Eve. Yeah. So.
Would that be more appropriate? Sorry, would that be more appropriate as to? I'm just thinking that opening hours from sort of 8 a.m. New Year's Day Eve, right the way through to 00 to 30 on the 2nd of January is a 42-hour window.
Unlikely to happen.
Yeah, unlikely to happen, but theoretically it's possible. Would a 2 a.m. sort of be more appropriate?
It was a condition dragged forward from the 1964 Act, and a lot of premises in the district still have that condition attached to it. But as you said, it's very unlikely they would use. But obviously, if the applicant's happy to reduce it, that's fine. But it is quite an old condition that does come forward a lot. So.
Councillor, any other questions or points of clarification?
I don't think so.
No, thank you. So, usually at this point, I'd invite any relevant, responsible authorities at the meeting to highlight their reasons for their comments and obviously take questions and points of clarification. But as there are none present, we'll move on. And similarly, that there are no other persons present. So obviously, moving on to step 6. In terms of leading a discussion, I think probably the best place to start might be obviously the licensing objectives that kind of underpin the considerations for the discussion. Obviously, the 4 of those are prevention of crime and disorder, prevention of public nuisance, public safety, and protection of children from harm. I think for me, what speaks volumes is the lack of responsible authorities commenting, and certainly any objections. Obviously, I note the way that the business kind of operates. That certainly it's something for all members of the community. I think I read that nearly a fifth, or actually just over a fifth, are people are from age 55 and over, and similarly for people of kind of younger ages. I think there's a kind of a good demographic mix of who it speaks to. And of course, the way that kind of food versus alcohol sales are distributed as well. I think it's quite clear from the applicant, and obviously I note that I think it's the gesture from the applicant to reduce table and chairs outside to 10 p.m. indirect response to comments you've received from the community, and I of course note the comments around the applicant adhering to its obligations in regards to community consultation around the Blue Notice and things like that. So There's not too much more for me to say at the moment. Of course, I think I noted in the report that obviously people permitted to leave and re-enter aren't allowed to take glasses and drinks out with them, which again I think is another important distinction when talking about concerns around noise, nuisance, etc. Obviously leading back to those 4 licensing objectives. So I think at this point, I think let's ask as well if there are kind of any other members to my right at this point in terms of anything you'd like to add to the discussion.
Not really. I just think
Yeah, you're on.
my concern about the pavement is that it's the people eating and drinking outside will remain within that area and not obstruct the pavement. Vis-a-vis, if the public using it, I don't want to see. I wouldn't want to see, as happens with other venues, that pedestrians are having to step into the road. Is it?
There does appear to be enough space there for.
All right, okay. That's what I'm asking.
For both pedestrians and the tables and chairs. So we'll have a line of, I think it's 4 tables or 4 immediately outside, pretty much like our next door neighbours actually. They've got very similar configurations, and there's still plenty of space. I would guess it's more than 2 metres of pavement remaining. It's quite a wide pavement, so I don't think it looks just right.
It's set as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually, so the actual section where the tables are is set in, so it's actually not fully on the pavement itself as well.
There's actually a line on the pavement of brickwork, which so there's a natural line where we would have the tables and chairs. Yeah, and we would. So in terms of the people hanging around there, we would make the tables and chairs unusable by 10, so there aren't people gathering there late at night.
Okay, no, that sounds fair enough.
Yes.
Just for clarity on Councillor Robbins' point, part of the pavement permit application is to consult with Essex County Highways, along with environmental health, and we do look at they do look at the obstruction of the pavement as well. So that's already been looked at under the pavement permit licence that's been granted.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just observations on that one. I noticed that sort of on the site maps that sort of have, it doesn't just it only shows the building. It doesn't just show the external sort of areas where the garden.
It is actually on there on the front of the plan, on the ground floor plan. There is actually the area at the front. It is actually showing the outside area.
Is it? I
Yes.
couldn't see it.
It's very difficult to distinguish because it's all in the same colour. But it is actually on there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not really for discussion, because we're considering the application internally and the licensing objectives.
Would you like to remind the committee of that? Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to remind everyone that the pavement licence has already been granted, as I believe, so that's not for discussion at this forum. We're here to concentrate on the premises licence application.
I didn't know it'd been granted, so it's news to me.
Oh.
I can confirm it was granted.
I told me it was.
I took it very quietly.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Karen. So at this point, I'll ask the licensing officer and the applicant if they have any final comments to make, starting yourself, Roy.
No, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard my presentation. If there is anything else that you're minded to do other than grant in accordance with the application and the amendments that we've just made, so the 2 amendments are the 10 o'clock for the outside area and 2 a.m. for the UUZ. If you are minded to do anything else, I'd ask that you give me the opportunity to readdress you.
Why would they want midnight? Because once it's granted, we'll consider it.
Thank you. At this point, unless there's kind of any extra points for clarification or points to raise, I will conclude the discussion, and we'll withdraw to consider the evidence that's been presented in order to reach a decision and obviously get any legal advice if required. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again, everybody. So following deliberation, the subcommittee has come to decision, and I'll ask the governance officer, Emma, if you could read the decision notice, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So the decision for the application for a premises licence lounge 5052 High Street, Billericay. The subcommittee is aware that it has to act to promote the licensing objectives as set out in the Licensing Act 2003, and that any decision it takes or conditions which it attaches to a licence must be appropriate to achieve these objectives. In reaching its decision, the subcommittee has taken into account the relevant parts of the written and oral evidence before them, the relevant parts of the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, and the relevant parts of the guidance issued by the Secretary of State. The subcommittee has determined as follows. So the decision is to grant the application for a premises licence, but with some variation to the timings and conditions proposed by the applicant. The subcommittee believed that granting the application would not undermine the promotion of the licensing objectives, with the following proposed amendments and conditions to be imposed. So the first one, in relation to the timings for New Year's Eve, the premises will remain open for the sale of alcohol and the provision of late night refreshment from the terminal hour New Year's Eve through to 2 a.m. on New Year's Day for those activities, with a closing time of 2:30 a.m. And then secondly, a condition to be added to provide signage at the exit points, reminding those leaving the premises to do so quietly to avoid disturbing those in the locality, such to be agreed by the Basildon Borough Council's licensing officer. And the reasons for the decision: there were no objections received by responsible authorities. There was no evidence of instances of antisocial behaviour that were directly linked to the premises. And the subcommittee recognised that the applicant had agreed to reduce the hours of operation for New Year's Eve since their original application. So the date of effect is today's date. The right of repeal, obviously you might not need it, but there is a right of repeal against this decision to the Essex Magistrates Court. An appeal must be commenced within 21 days, beginning with the day on which you receive notification of this decision. And also the ability to review. There is an ability to apply for a review of the licence to the licensing authority after a reasonable interval. You will need to supply evidence of an effect on the 4 licensing objectives. Forms are available for completion from the licensing authority. Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry, can I just quickly, I know it's good that we're in the room, on the condition on New Year's Eve, I think you said that we will open till 2 a.m. And I wouldn't want us to be forced to open until 2 a.m. So I think it should be may open until 2 a.m.
I'll just read that bit again. So
I may have misheard you.
from the terminal hour New Year's Eve through to 2 a.m. on New Year's Day for those activities, with a closing time.
No, but you said that the licence holder will open until.
Oh, okay. In relation to the timings for New Year's Eve, the premises will remain open. Okay. So it's May.
May.
Yeah, change that to May.
Yeah, and then.
That gives you the flexibility to close it.
Yeah, we've no idea whether we're going to open on New Year's Eve.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, it gives them the flexibility because they still couldn't go past that. Yeah.
And the second point is we didn't discuss at any point the signage condition, and I did ask if I could be given the opportunity, if you were imposing any conditions that weren't part of the application, that I could readdress you in case law supports that. We'd prefer it not to say that signage has to be agreed with officers, and the reason for that, these conditions we expect the licence to last for a very long time. We've got Roy at the moment. I know that with Roy and Alex we could drop a line and get a prompt response, and that would all work nicely. We work with lots of councils where sometimes you just can't get a response. So if we weren't able to get a response to signage at some point in time, we're a responsible organisation. Absolutely, we can have signage reminding people to leave quietly, but we don't need to get approval to our signage of officers. So I'd be grateful if that could be deleted. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I do find it's very off-putting with the screen.
Lovely, and I think just to kind of mention at this point as well, as due to advise that formal notification of the decision of the subcommittee will be provided in writing by the licensing department as soon as practicable, but no later than 5 working days of this hearing.
Thank you.
So at this point, I'll end the meeting.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.